You're just a kid, you haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about. At number 48 on the list is Good Will Hunting. Welcome to Long Play Video. Welcome into Long Play Video. We're going through my 100 favourite films of all time, and we are up to number 48 today. Before we introduce the film, we have a guest coming in to the shop.
Yeah.
Here he is now.
Hello, it's me again.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Have you got a video to attend?
I'm returning the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I don't want it back, but
yeah. Did you just get it out because it's got Freddy in the title?
Yeah, that might be part of it, but it's based on games which I played when I was younger.
Yeah,
and I'll just stick to the games. I think they tell the story better.
Okay, so we'll put it behind some other videos on the shelf.
Don't put that one out front. Don't put that one out front.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming down. So we thought that this would be a good film for you to come down, because I think you're about the age that I was when I first saw this film. So immediately that dates the film before any smart comments. It doesn't mean it's black and white. It doesn't mean it's that it's from the 60s.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be commenting on that and the comments, God, it's going to be endless.
But at number 48 is the film Good Will Hunting. Now, so I know, Freddie, you've never seen this film because it was obviously came out before you were born, and youngsters don't think that their media before they were born is worth watching.
We should also check, it's got the name Will in rather than Freddie. Are you going to be okay to watch it?
That'll be fine, yeah.
Or he's going to change his name, James Blunt
this week.
Kev, do you know anything about this film, or what do you know about this film, or have you seen this film?
I haven't seen this film, and I know a bit about. I know it's obviously it's Robin Williams, right? And then Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Yeah. So, and I think Robin Williams, everyone was saying that his performance was very good. I'm just not. It just seemed a bit dreary to me. I think it's got maths on a blackboard. I think
it does have maths on a blackboard. Yeah.
On
a mirror, even. So they're even stepping up the effects.
Yeah, I think I didn't see it when it first came out, and then it just didn't appeal to me. So I don't know. My mind's telling me I'm not going to like this movie, so I don't know. We will see. But yeah, what about you, Freddie? Do you know much about this?
I do know. I don't know what the story's really about, but I've seen bits and pieces, and I knew Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and all that were in it. But I don't know what's actually. And I think I know a good few of the main scenes, but I couldn't tell you what the actual story is or anything.
Okay.
You've seen the TikTok version.
I've seen the TikTok version.
Yeah.
Clips of it.
But then, Andy,
there's a couple.
You're the only one that's seen this movie, so sell it in hard to us like normal.
Well, so I think first of all we do have to address the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Or Affleck, as he puts it. So the afflection. He should definitely call himself that. Yeah. So this film really introduced them. So this is a film that they wrote. So Matt Damon wrote it at university for as a one-act play, and then Ben Affleck, they were friends from when they were young, and so then they got together. They were both kind of trying to be actors with a few different sort of pieces of success. They've been in stuff, but very small parts. Ben Affleck actually was friends with Kevin Smith and had met him. So then he started appearing in some Kevin Smith films. So he was in Mallrats kind of around the same time as this, and then Chasing Amy, which isn't a particularly good film, but that kind of put him on the map a bit more. So this was like two guys trying to sort of break into the industry, had this script that they got paid quite a lot of money for to develop, but then got sort of lost in kind of script development sort of hell. So I think they originally got paid like 800,000 for it, and then like they just kept getting asked to change it and change it and change it. There is a story that they actually put in a sex scene between the two main characters, like at like page 60, just to see if anyone was still reading the script when they were asking for it to get changed and stuff. So there's a whole lot of stories around the development and things like that. And then obviously they got Gus Van Sant, who's a very kind of famous indie director, to come on board and to actually make it. And then they win the Oscar for best screenplay. And really after that, then they just kind of take off. And then Robin Williams comes on because his character is very much sort of written as a best supporting Oscar sort of character. So he finally gets the Oscar for this after being nominated a whole bunch of times for different things, but never quite making it. So I remember at the time, it was kind of big that they had won it. It was kind of, some 20-year-olds winning the Oscar for best screenplay. It did kind of bring them onto the scene, which is now obviously quite funny because Freddie, I guess sort of, what's your reference for Matt Damon and Ben Affleck? Like now, what do you think of them?
Matt Damon's The Martian. That's what I know of him, and Ben Affleck's Zack Snyder's Batman, Justice League Batman.
Wow,
it's a shame.
I'm not sure on so many levels
a good career or not for them, but what
about you then, Andy? What would yours be?
Well, I mean, I think still this to a certain extent. I think Matt Damon has done a lot more. Well, Matt Damon has done a lot more interesting stuff. Matt Damon, I think, is in 3 other movies. I think when I was looking through the list, including one where I think he's very, very good. And then Ben Affleck. I don't know. I never really sort of liked Ben Affleck particularly. I think Argo's a good film. I'm not sure whether it's an Oscar-winning film. And obviously he's got a bit more into directing. Funnily enough, for Ben Affleck, it probably still is the sort of the bad appearances in Kevin Smith films that kind of I think of him more because it's that kind of character. I presume for you, Armageddon is the benchmark that you're comparing it to.
Yeah, no, I think I now think of him as the bad Batman. Yeah, possibly the worst Batman. Possibly. I don't know. Val Kilmer's Batman was pretty bad, but he's pretty bad. Yeah, I think that's what I would think of. For Ben Affleck, he was just sort of in and around different movies. He just moved around from so many different things. Obviously, as you say, Armageddon. Then he'll go into like sort of rom-coms of like Shakespeare in Love, or he was in some other rom-coms, wasn't he? Then you've got like Pearl Harbor. I mean, these are all awful films. Daredevil he's in, which he's terrible in that as well. I think the thing with Ben Affleck, and I know people would all have said this before, and I just don't know that he can act. It doesn't feel real when like you can tell he's acting when you watch him. I think that's how I see it. Whereas good actors, you feel like it's actually happening to them, and I just don't get that with Ben Affleck. And look, maybe other people do, and I'm missing out. I'm not here to just destroy Ben Affleck's career. I'm sure he's doing all right, apart from that horrific back tattoo that he's got of a coloured phoenix. But I would say Matt Damon for me is definitely born. Definitely born.
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt. Or no, maybe now as cameos in Thor. It's also the other one.
Just turning up at the end of films as an unnamed cameo. Yeah, I mean, I think he's in a top 20 film, but there's a couple of films that he's in. So I think with this for them, it feels close enough to the type of characters that you kind of imagine they are, and I think that's what's going to be interesting watching it kind of now, knowing who they are, and obviously they are from Boston, they play kind of people from Boston, from sort of a little bit more the wrong side of the tracks than maybe they are. But I think that will be interesting to sort of see with all of the baggage that they now have. I can imagine at the time people were kind of like, well, are they acting or are they just like this? So I think that will be interesting. But the dynamic between them is great. And actually, like the dynamic between all of the characters, I think is really, really strong. Like even sort of bit part characters feel really fleshed out. It's almost the fact that they had the script for so long. You can kind of, I think you can kind of feel that in the film, so that there's a group of four friends. One of the others is Casey Affleck, who again is just very good for like the character that he plays, which is pretty sort of non-consequential, but he's clearly just having fun with it, and their dynamic as like a group just really speaks to it. Even like the fourth one's quite quiet, but like he still has a presence, and you can sort of still see them sort of interacting with each other. So I do think there's a lot of good performances in here from characters who are quite small. And then Robin Williams as kind of the third person, and also almost the person who sort of gives the film a bit more gravitas. So same question, Fred. When with Robin Williams, what's your touchstone for him, both kind of comedy wise and maybe more serious?
Well, I guess Jumanji is where I know him from.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's in Dead Poets Society, but I didn't watch that film to the end.
I'll bring you back because that's in a couple of weeks then.
Well, it's not that I didn't like it. I was just like, I just want to do something else today. I don't want to watch. So I wouldn't rule it out. But I don't know. Yeah, definitely Jumanji. And I feel like I've definitely seen him in other films, but I can't think of them at the moment. So definitely Jumanji is where I know him most from.
What would you say, Andy? Where would your bit reference point be?
Well, so I think I've just always really liked Robin Williams. I think that there's sort of, we maybe knew him, or I knew him more for sort of the manic comedy.
You knew him? Oh, wow. Do tell more. What stories did he have?
He's crazy to hang out with. But no, I did know him from Mork and Mindy and stuff like, kind of, the repeats, and you kind of knew him for his comedy. But then also Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poets Society, also maybe spoilers for further up in the list. Like I did always sort of know him as a bit of a serious actor as well. And then funnily enough, when I first watched this film, what was most on my mind was probably not just Aladdin, but almost the publicity tour of Aladdin. I remember he was just in it, like on every primetime TV show, and like I remember him like being on The Big Breakfast, and again sort of doing that where someone would ask him a question and then he'd sort of riff for like 20 minutes, and the interviewer would madly try and like get it back on track, but he would just be doing voices and be doing other things. But like probably first film I probably ever saw him in was actually probably Good Morning Vietnam, because I watched that quite sort of
You watched that early. Before Aladdin?
Yeah, probably, When was Aladdin?
90 something?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go. You're so cultured, Andy. Like the fans will be really happy to hear this.
This is why I own a video shop and I'm not allowed. Yeah. But like funnily enough, we just watched Mrs. Doubtfire with my daughter, and she really liked that. And then she's watched Hook on a school trip. And she was I know the man from something, but I just couldn't remember what. And we sort of said, well, maybe Mrs. Doubtfire. And she was like, maybe that. And then you sort of, then he's the voice from that. I don't think we've seen Jumanji. Funnily enough, she's seen Flubber recently because she was watching it. So that's the thing, that there are just, I think that there were a lot of movies that Robin Williams was in sort of the 90s. That are kind of touchstones, even if they weren't great movies. There's so many movies that I really, really like him in. And I think he was just an amazing actor that, as I sort of say, this was the Oscar after kind of being nominated a few times. And I think it's kind of long overdue, and like for his nominations to be Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poets Society, Fisher King, and then this. I think that's That's a strong
That's not
strong
bad, is it?
set of nominations.
Yeah. And so for you, this movie is just, is it just that you really like it? There's no specific sort of nostalgia or anything attached to it. It's more just you think it's a really good film.
Yeah, no, there is a certain amount of nostalgia. I mean, this is, sort of late 90s university. We would watch this movie a lot. Like this was sort of, someone owned the DVD. And I don't actually think it was me. I think it might have been one of my friends. But like this was one that we would kind of keep watching over and over. And then when I've sort of, watched it a little bit afterwards, and I do just think it's a really good storyline. And I do think there's a lot to it. Like it feels like this film has been worked on a lot, so that there is levels to it, and there is like they have put it together really well to actually try and say something. And then I think all of the performances, Minnie Driver as the girl, because it's a 90s film, so there's like one girl, but like she's brilliant in it, and she's like, her chemistry with Matt Damon I think is really sweet and really nice. That's kind of that's to it. And there are a lot of funny scenes. There are just a lot of scenes that just sort of mates hanging out, which I think is you can sort of see their chemistry all together, which is really, really good. And then the music as well, funnily enough, was was definitely something that I kind of listened to a lot.
How long is the film?
Just to check.
Not saying that this doesn't. Yeah, not saying that this all doesn't sound brilliant. It is. I'm asking for a friend. Yeah,
it is at the 2 hour mark. We can. If I slide over the DVD and you take a look at it, obviously there might be something about the colouring of the DVD where it is that worrying yellow orange tone.
Yeah, what is that tone? Like, it's awful. And then it's autumn in the background as well, so it's all just like the same sort of color. And then apart from Matt Damon's hair, that's it. Everything else is the same, and he just got his blonde locks.
So I mean, it's I think it's, I'm surprised that you hadn't watched it at the time, or when it
doesn't really appeal to me, really. I think, when it first came out and what there was, it just didn't really appeal to me. I mean, I do like Robin Williams, and I think, he, like you said, he's a good actor, and he's obviously a very good comedy actor, but he's obviously a good serious actor as well. I don't know what it is. Never really appealed to me. So this still doesn't appeal to me. And at 2 hours long, it's not appealing to me further. But
do we know what appeals to you, Kev? Have we figured that out yet?
It's an enigma encased in a it's a challenge. If you ever find out,
explosions,
Freddie, you
just basically
you win the secret to the universe if you work it out.
It's been 2, obviously.
Although, what about you then, Freddie?
You're 1 and 2 at the moment, Kev. Being Hot Fuzz and Life is Beautiful.
And Life is Beautiful.
You can argue that your taste is really diverse.
It is eclectic. Yeah. I just like what I like. I can't help it. What about you then, Freddie? How are you? You're from the younger generation where 2 hours of your time watching a film is like, that's like a month out of your day. I mean. So how are you going to feel about
that? I can do 2 hours. I mean, me and my stepmom have actually been talking about this film like a couple months ago. So I think she's got it on the side ready. So gonna try watch that together soon.
Oh, nice. See there, I think that's it. You're gonna have someone to help you through it. That's what's required. What are you up to, Andy? I might need to.
Come into the shop. It's just down the street for you. So it'll be fine. I mean, it did really, really well at the box office. So it did over 200 million on a 10 million budget as well, which obviously probably helped out Matt Damon and Ben Affleck to be able to maybe make some other choices later on. So it was very popular. And I think it is about the writing, it is about the chemistry. I think all of the actors in it, like like I say, even some of the sort of I mean, we'll get into it on the second half, but like, even sort of some of the people who are just in one scene, I just think they just kind of are really believable, and you do get sucked into the story, and it's just sort of one of those films where you want to see what happens, but it kind of, there's enough then kind of good scenes, and the sort of back and forth is really good. I'm not saying that you're going to like it, but I'm just going to say, if you don't like it, you're wrong, because there's lots of people like it.
Yeah, well, look, if we all were conforming to the same scenario, Andy, where would we be now? I mean, you need disruptors like me to, move the world forward.
If everyone agreed, would probably be living on Jupiter, because the human race would be so much more advanced.
True.
Well, we'll see. We'll get it on. It's a 90s classic, so I think it'll be interesting, Freddie, to see what you think from how it stands up this now. And Kev, maybe it's the missing part of your early 20s that you'll be able to plug in. So we'll pop it on, and see you after the break.
Touching, I went with.
Nice.
But
for those not in the shop, Kev's face says that his one word would not have been touching. So
for some reason, I don't know, as you started, I think you started saying, you said it slowly, and I was thinking, and then I was just thinking, I don't know, I watched the bad thriller on Netflix yesterday, and when you said touching, I just took it the right.
I meant in the heartwarming, lovely, nice film sense, rather than questionable things.
That, I don't know, just to give a bit of context, I don't know if anyone's seen it, the Anna Kendrick film based on
the serial killer.
Yeah. So that was right. But no,
Netflix colouring your view of life.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, so touching. Yeah, what did you like?
Nice. It was just a nice film. I liked the whole. It was nice. Just to watch a character change. It was just a nice story, and seeing him grow into the characters. I just thought it was really nice.
Yeah, Kev. I presume because Freddie's description is emotional, then you just hated this film.
So look, we're in the top 50 now, so I'm just trying to placate a little bit more, be a bit nice about things. I've just said this is not a film for me. That's all I'm saying.
It's so funny, as the titles came up, and obviously like it's the kaleidoscope and stuff. I was just thinking, this is going to be a bad start for Kev. this isn't going to, like, if it dropped right into the action, I think we'd be fine. But those 2 or 3 minutes of like kaleidoscope where you're seeing him doing his maths, I was like, this is. Kev's going to be like, what is this?
That got fast forwarded. Yeah.
And it opened on a blackboard writing scene. Like,
exactly.
I watched it with Dan. I said, there's a point towards Kevin.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that was like the worst opening ever for me. So,
I think quite like though the psychiatry with Robin Williams. Maybe at some stage we need to discuss why you have this reaction to maths being done on a blackboard, Kev. Is there some event in the past?
There's definitely
Did you get something wrong? It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. You're not here to give me a hug, though. That's the problem. Yeah, it's probably trauma from university, I'm sure. But I don't know. I don't know if it's because I did maths and I just hated it, and I know that it's so useless and boring at that level.
That's such a sweeping statement. Maths. It's just useless and boring. There's no reason to have further maths.
At that level, honestly, like the stuff that I learned, I could basically only use to then teach people this again. It was just completely useless. So
the NSA, you can go and work. I don't know where else he gets the job interviews. You could basically use this as a way to find places you could go and apply for a job, I thought.
Yeah, I imagine the amount of people that complete maths degrees and sort of math PhDs and go to work at the NSA are probably pretty thin. I don't imagine there's too many. But that was a very good scene, actually. I did like that when he was talking about, oh, yeah, I'm going to go and work here, and then I do something incredible, and then you use that, and then you build a drone, and then you go and kill some people, and then my friends from Boston have to go out there, and then they get killed. Like that was a good. I like that. That was pretty impressive. Although he does obviously then go and work for them anyway, so it kind of defeats the object. But that was a nice scene. Yeah, look, I think it definitely got better. I mean, I don't know how you do this, Andy, but like even this film, somehow there's romance in it, and I just don't know how there is. It's just every film, and I'm like, that just was not needed for me in this film. But yeah, that was it. So, well, not quite for me, but I did think Damon and Williams were very good. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, no, I just really like it still. I think the sort of the big scenes and the monologues and the writing and stuff. I think they're good. I think those scenes hold up. I just like the sort of the little interactions or the little bits in that kind of then pull it all together. I just think all of the characters feel really authentic and like you are sort of seeing kind of real life and real interactions. I think the one of my favorite bits when Skylar's met all of the friends and then she's like, I want to meet your brothers. There's just a look that Chucky gives Will where he's just like, why have you lied about it like this? Or there's just literally, you see on his face just the like, oh man, why are you almost sort of sabotaging this, and why have you lied to her? And he doesn't say anything, but like literally as soon as she's like, oh, I want to meet your brothers, then Ben Affleck just gets this look on his face where he's like, dude, like what? Why are you messing this up? Like she seems really nice, and it's like just off to one side. It's not they don't pan in to his face, and it's not really obvious. But I just think there's so many times where there is just that little interaction like between the characters and all of the actors, even the people who aren't in it a lot, just really good and feel really kind of lived in as characters. And from that point of view, I just think they put it together really well.
I think this is probably the one film where I feel like Ben Affleck is used the right amount in a film. Like he's not in this film too much, and that's the right amount for Ben Affleck, I think. He maximized his acting in those 3 scenes that he's in.
He's very funny. He like the retainer scene is where he's just throwing out long words and none of them mean anything, but that's like what he thinks intelligent people speak like. Vis-a-vis. It's No, I think it's really good.
It's an interesting one, though. I did think. So you said that Matt Damon wrote this, right? So I was like, what? I was interested on why they thought about writing this as a story. It's a very who thinks, oh, let's start a film off about like a maths genius. It's an interesting sort of place to start off. So,
well, I think what they're writing is like a person who's in a friendship group or in a situation where he's clearly better than the situation, and then how does he get out of that situation, and whether he doesn't, whether he has the growth to do it or not, right? And I think Maths Genius is sort of one of those devices, but it's more okay. Well, this person, if this person had lived in kind of an affluent house and he'd been, and he'd had everything that, arguably Skylar has given to him, then he would be in a completely different situation, and that there's sort of some dumb luck in the fact that he's not, and that he was an orphan and he did do those things. And I think the way, especially at the beginning, they cut back and forth between them and the guys and Harvard and the MIT and stuff, and there's a real kind of comparison between, I think there's a lot more of a sort of class comparison between them. I think is it straight after the fight they then cut to the people singing a cappella at the class reunion, which is like the most annoying which person sort of statement. And I do think like that's what that I think that's what the basis is for me, is like, okay, well, yeah, he's just, like, how can he grow and leave this environment that is inherently safe and is really safe, but like what does success look like? And I do think that is to a certain extent kind of taken from both of their lives. I mean, they didn't have difficult lives by all accounts, but both of them wanted to be an actor, both of them wanted to be doing this. And it's difficult to, you have to, especially in America to a certain extent, you have to leave all your friends and go to Hollywood or go to New York and you want to be more than maybe the people around you, and like how do you go on that journey, and how do you do that? Because it's very difficult to leave the people behind that are safe, that maybe you're the college quarterback, or you're the person who gets the main part in all the plays in your little town, and then if you go to New York, all of a sudden you're third cat from the left in the background.
It just seemed a bit strange one. I didn't understand why you would. I mean, this obviously comes back to my mathematical trauma, but I just didn't understand why you would pick maths as the medium. But yeah, I guess I see. I get what you're saying. I had an interesting view on who I think like sort of wins the film or owns the film. But yeah, what did you think, Freddie? Who do you think was like the best in the film?
Through acting or like natural characters?
Yeah, like as in who do you think was best in the film, like in terms of how they portrayed their character?
I think Robin Williams does really well. I think because like he's not. I really thought he was just gonna be like he's just the nice therapist, and he just really gets him. But that, he has his own things, and like Will teaches him things as well. And I thought that was actually worthwhile, because I was like, if he's just gonna be like a really generic, like, don't worry about it, and he's just gonna be like a really stereotypical therapist, it's gonna be like, this is rubbish. But no, there was actually they learn on both ends, so I think he does quite well.
Yeah. What about you, Andy?
No, I think that's true. Like at the end when Will sort of says thank you, and he says no, thank you. I do think like that. Robin Williams' character arc is really good. I do think it's a completely different performance from Robin Williams than normal, and he's so.
When you say normal,
magnetic.
Do you think as in up to that point? Because I think he did other roles, I think, similar to this. But do you think that this was the first role where he was more of a serious role?
I think he's done serious roles, but I just think he gets, again, even with the serious roles, they tend to be super serious. I think with this, he just feels way more of a fleshed out character. Like there are bits where he's funny. And there are bits where he sort of he does, like, the commentary for the baseball game, like that's almost sort of classic Robin Williams, because he's got the voices and stuff like that. But like that is also something that you would just like a person would do. So I do think that potentially this is his most rounded, where he's got not the manic side of him, but like he's got some of the voices and stuff, but also. He just, again, I just think like his and Joey's dynamic, I think is really good as well. Like, you can tell that there's layers of sort of competition and not competition, and when he's like, I haven't seen you since Nancy died, and he's like, I got your card, like we're supposed to be mates. And then when they get into their argument, and again, Joey's sort of like, well, don't blame me because your life's a failure. And he's just like, my life is not a failure.
That would be so annoying, wouldn't it, if someone said that to you? And it'd be so frustrating. You get so angry, and then they'll be like, see? And you're like,
well, and then he calls him a mathematical dick, which I just think is
which is like the worst comeback ever. He's like,
well, I mean, for you'll be like, that's the worst you can call someone is mathematical.
You want to take this outside? What I'm hearing, Andy, is you want him to be your therapist, and I can't disagree with you. I think it would be great.
Well, I think clearly he's brought Will out. I think maybe he should go and speak to him about.
Yeah, if he was still alive, I'd be like, come in, come over. Yeah.
Well, apparently when he did die, the seat that they go and sit in the park, apparently that was kind of lots of people went there and kind of put flowers and stuff, which I think is like how iconic, because he's done a lot of stuff. I mean, you can go to Neverland and leave flowers, but yeah, like he's done a lot of stuff with a lot of different scenes. Yeah. So that scene is, yeah,
it's funny.
Iconic.
Obviously, we were saying at the start, right, in part one, we all thought different things of like who what do we associate Robin Williams with? So that's tantamount to his range and what he did.
Yeah, exactly. Why did it was Robin Williams the one for you, or did you have another?
No, actually, funnily enough, because I think I know of when this came out, people were talking about it from then until now, and everyone had always pretty much said, "Oh yeah, Robin Williams is amazing. He's different. All this." And so I was really expecting Robin Williams to absolutely like blow everyone else out of the water, and he was still very good, I thought. But I actually thought Matt Damon, for me, I thought Damon was really good. Like he delivers the lines well. I mean, the Boston accent at the start, I was like, oh, this is grated. I don't know how we're going to go here. But I think he delivers the lines well. He shows the emotion. He has good like times when he pauses and stops his delivery. So I thought Matt Damon was really, really good in it. And I think just maybe because in my mind, when people had seen it, they'd always talk about Robin Williams, that maybe I was too focused at thinking it was going to be about Robin, well, he was going to be the headline, which I think, but for me, I think it was Matt Damon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he is really good in it. And I do think he gets the, like, again, sort of the different bits of him, and he gets into the sort of the anger and the running future scenarios into his head is really good. I wonder, Freddie, for you, sort of top scenes, because obviously this is a film where, I think you said before, like there were scenes from this film that just are on like TikTok and Instagram and kind of get picked out separately, like the Robin Williams speech and the bit in the Harvard bar, or Harvard bar, depending on how you want to do it. I wonder, like, did you have a particular sort of favorite scene from those ones, or ones that you'd seen before maybe, and you sort of saw them in a bit of a different light?
Yeah, so I knew the baseball scene. I thought that was quite good, and watching it was really good. And when I was watching it, Dad nudged me to be like, when Will and Chucky are obviously at the building site, and Chucky gives the whole speech about you don't know, you owe it to me. I knew that scene as well, and I did think that was good. But the one Kev was talking about earlier, the where he talks about, if I work there, then this will happen and this will happen. I didn't know that one, and I thought that was actually a really good scene. I really liked that one.
Yeah. Really, I mean, really interesting way to shoot it as well. So just to do a film geek, but obviously he's in the interview and he's talking, and then sort of a couple of sentences in, they move away from the interview, and it's him retelling Robin Williams in like Sean's office, and I think that's a really interesting choice to sort of say to then have a like reported speech rather than like inside the interview, so that you're not focused on like how does the interviewer react to it. You're just focused on Will, because obviously that's also when kind of the first time that Sean then calls him on, if you're just going to paint every future scenario, and overthink like everything, and that's on the back of him having done that with Skylar and sort of saying, well, you're just, you're going to marry some rich guy, and I'm just going to be the person from the other side of the tracks, and you're going to, and then she obviously calls him on that and sort of says, you're scared, I'm scared too. And at that, I think that starts to be like way more of a focus on like you're blocking yourself because you're overthinking and trying to like plan everything, and that's just not gonna work.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. You're right. It really diffuses it, doesn't it? Like, you don't think like, oh, what are they gonna say? You are then just really focusing on what he's saying and the point that he's making. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think I'm with Freddie. I think that was a great scene. I thought that, and it's very, it feels very true as well, doesn't it? It feels like, this genius will probably end up creating something that, might be bad really for the growth of humanity, and then ultimately may end up costing one of his friends' lives. And it was a very interesting way. I thought they brought that together. And obviously, that's a big monologue, and he delivers that really quickly. And I don't know, obviously, how many takes they took, but obviously, he wrote it, so he probably knew the content pretty well. But he really delivers that well, and he delivers it at pace as well. So it's a very you feel like there's a lot of energy in the scene.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that was something for me. I noticed that the rest of the scenes are almost shorter than I remembered, and I think that's why with kind of the 3 or 4 like really long monologues, essentially, like the Chucky one, as you say, Fred, that one, Robin Williams one, like because they seem so much longer than all of the other scenes. Like there's not too many scenes where you're sort of in the same place with the same angle. Like it does actually kind of move at pace and then slows down dramatically for those scenes, which I do think really works. And obviously a cynical person would say, well, that's where someone's trying to win an Oscar, or someone's trying to kind of have that emotional weight. But like I think it just really works because all the transitions all the other scenes move quite quickly, and there's a lot of walking, there's not too many times where it's just kind of static. There is kind of a lot of movement and stuff. Again, I love the little bits in between, when just before, obviously, the bit with Clark in the bar as well. That's another classic, right, where he tears the guy down. I do just love the way that Chucky walks over there, where he's pointing to people as though he's recognized, and then how he gets them to ask him if he comes there often. He's like, "Do you?" And they say, "Come here often." He's like, "Do I come here often? I'm here, from time to time." And I just think that's like, and obviously, like they're sort of finding it funny as well. And then like the scene with Clark is almost sort of too classic to reflect on. But then I also like at the very end, when they then sort of walk off, Casey Affleck just goes, "My boy's wicked smart," and then just and walks off. And I actually, we'll get onto it, but like Casey Affleck, I think just all the way through just seems to be having so much fun, and like he's like adding these little bits to all of it that are just it's just so funny. Again, where I sort of say like the background characters almost like even the fourth guy in their sort of friendship group is actually like a really big actor, but he like pulls back almost to let everyone else shine, and you don't actually sort of hear that much from him, but he is always there, and he's reacting, and he's kind of laughing to stuff. And I think I do think that it's just kind of the ensemble that works as well.
Let me ask you this question then. Do you think this was their peak for Affleck and Damon?
I would say definitely not for Damon. I think he's
when he met Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's so powerful playing an actor playing Thor. Yeah, no, definitely not. He does. I mean, and there's like obviously 3 other films on the list that he's in that I think he's really good in. I think for Ben Affleck, I'm not sure acting wise, I'm not sure if there's anything else that I would put above this. I think like, and obviously he's made good films, and like The Town, it's a good film. It's not a favorite, but I get it, and it's a good film. And Argo, I'm not sure it's Oscar winning.
You hate Argo, don't you? This is it's coming up every week now. It's
I didn't think it was amazing, but obviously very well put together films. And funnily enough, I did also really like Air, their new one about Nike, or Nike, and that they did recently. Like, I think it actually, Ben Affleck's really good in that, because he's kind of a bit of the comedy, because he's sort of the CEO, and he's supposed to be a bit clueless and stuff. And,
really? Because I've read the book about how Nike come to become huge. I'd be interested to see.
Okay.
What that? Because the CEO is like super intelligent. He obviously starts it out of nothing. So in the book, so I'd be interested to see how they portray him.
He plays second fiddle to Matt Damon in the film as a whole. But
Damon is a lot more affable, isn't it? I could tell that like in the first few scenes when obviously we were talking about this, and I'm like, he's just more accessible, I think, to the public than Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is just, if we're going to go back to the mathematical analogy, he's more like angles. Like he's like it's more like angles.
Why do you not
They're
like films about
pointy.
maths? Because
Yeah.
you're comparing people to mathematical terms.
I'm
These are
doing
your
this.
people.
I'm doing this to help you guys. You know,
Did you start
enjoy
doing
the
the
math.
equations? were you answering them in your? Did you have your book and go?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I would say Damon is a quadratic equation.
The maths in this film rather elementary,
Too easy. Yeah. If only. Yeah, speaking of that,
I would also know. I just also do want to say about Minnie Driver, who I think is just amazing in this. She's she's so sweet, but she's so I think has like a lot of agency and a lot of power, and the fact that when she sort of she knows. I love the scene. Obviously, it's an emotional scene, but when she's like, "Why do you lie?" and he's like, "Well, I don't lie." And she's like, "What about your 12 brothers?" And he's like, "Oh, I thought you would never guess that." And like he's so intelligent in some ways, and then she's just like, I'm not stupid. I mean, obviously, if she's going to MIT and then transferring to Stanford, she's obviously very, very smart. But I think that's like all the way through, even though she is the love interest in 1990s film, which is a tough place to be. But like I feel like her character actually, she is in kind of charge, and I think she brings just a lightness to it. Even like when he explains it, and she's like, "No, I want to talk about this," and they talk about the piano and the music and stuff. I just think she's such a great character, because you can tell, like, as she says, just the kind of like, I just want to give it a go. Like, I'm scared it might not work. It's not that she's so head over heels in love with him that she'll do anything. She's just like, why don't we just give this a go? And I think she's just really, really good in it.
Yeah, I think this is where we're going to have to dissect this romance piece, and I don't know how long this pod's going to go on for, but we might be here for some time. I agree. I think Minnie Driver, her acting is incredible, and I think she's very good in this film. I like Minnie Driver anyway, but I think she's very good in this. But I just don't see the scenes and how that fits into this film. Like that, I don't think they developed those characters or that relationship in a way that I think fits with the rest of the film for me. Like it didn't feel like it was needed. I was like, these are good acting scenes. These are great, but it just felt like, what's that got to do with the film? Like it didn't feel connected enough for me.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
yeah. I mean, I think otherwise it's like, his great self revelation and him getting to know himself and not being so scared means that he goes and gets a nice job. And that is just the most depressing conclusion to personal growth ever. Whereas at least now he goes after the girl. Does it like? And I think one thing I did notice this time that I'd kind of not put together, like at the airport, she's sort of looking for him. And actually, they go back to it like 2 or 3 times, and he's sitting on the bench. And I think that's almost a bit of a nod to like 90s movies where someone would run through the airport and like have that sort of cheesy scene, which obviously nowadays you can't do because you wouldn't get through security. But like, I think it's we'll
see
like,
plenty of those in the top 10 films, Andy, I'm sure.
Pre 2001 romance comedies. No, so and I think that's I think that they do sort of. They are playing with the expectation there a little bit. And when he calls her to say, "I'm going to take a job," and then she's like, "I love you," and he's just like, he just can't say it because he hasn't got there yet, and he needs that sort of final breakthrough with Sean in order to be able to do that. I think I think it's the emotional center of the film. I don't know, Freddie, you're obviously this is why we have guests. You're the decider. What did you?
Well,
did it feel like
you're related? So there's something in your DNA. Films.
Christmas is coming up. Kev's not going to get you a present, but no. Did you feel like the romance was kind of tacked on a little bit, or did you sort of see it like sort of more central? Because there is a lot going on in the film, so I get where you're coming from, Kev.
I think it was good, and because it just comes on as just a general romance, and I think it adds on to really good, like when he's obviously in with Sean, and he just goes, "Yeah, I've been late," and they have that. It's just like he has to get that in.
Out of the entire monologue, he's like, "I have been laid, just so you know."
Yeah, it's classic of a guy of that age. That's the only thing that he like. You need to know this. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was good because I think it's one of like Sean and her both have their own characters, and I think that's like Will. Obviously, he has this whole thing about overthinking, but they have that like you get to hear, oh, her dad's died and she got this. So I think it works because they're not just a 2D character. They have their own stuff, so that everything Will does has either repercussions or impacts on them, so that when I just think they all link really nicely together because they have those full characters. Whereas if they were just nothing, it's just like Will says something and she's like, oh, but I still love you. It's like, no, she gets really upset when that happens and she still goes. She's not going to wait for him or anything.
Yeah.
You're going to love the top 20, Freddie, honestly.
I'm not a romance person. And I was like, I don't really do they have to be laying in bed like this? And it's just all, it's like, could we not just be just a normal, not a bit awkward,
especially
to watch?
Watching it with your dad, obviously.
Exactly.
You never want to watch any two people in bed with your parents. You're like, what's going to happen here?
True. You never want that.
Yeah. I didn't mind it.
Was there anything that you thought that dated the film at all?
There was a line. Me and Dad both were like, you probably can't say that these days.
Yeah. The one in the room, that Robin Williams is in his room with the other guy.
Yeah.
The dots, not feathers. I feel like 60-year-old white men from Harvard. That's probably a true representation of what they still say. To be fair, but it did seem like all the professors just hit on the students, and that was just expected with it. Which we haven't even mentioned Jerry old Stellan, but I do think he does so well good. Because he's such a lech, and all of the hitting on the students and stuff, which apparently was his idea, like that the character should actually be like more almost sort of despisable.
Because he sees that it's about maths and it's going to be boring. It's like, I need to add something into this.
But then it's funny because when Will phones Skylar as well, which again I hadn't really noticed, and doesn't say anything, and she's like Professor Smith, is this you again? And you're like, oh, just like every female student had a professor that was hitting on her, and that was just acceptable in the 90s. You're like, hopefully we've moved on from there. We've got to start with you, Kev, for the aliens. This is going to be not a sales pitch to the aliens.
All right, get ready. A boy is so good at maths. All the adults hate him, so he then hates them back.
It's pretty close.
I thought I would dumb it down as almost like a description of a kids program to counteract the intense amount of mathematics that's in the film.
You see, he has to dumb it down for us normal people. Really, he's such a mathematical dick.
Oh, dear.
Did you have anything, Freddie?
I just put, see, we can change and we're worth saving, with the idea being if they're trying to invade us,
there you are.
We're all right. Don't do it, I promise.
No,
we just all need really good therapists.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
We'll get there. We'll get there in the end. Yeah, that's good. That's a good one to save us for the invasion. So
exactly.
I went with a group of friends are ruthlessly separated by a maths teacher, psychiatrist, and a girl. I think just the group of friends are just really funny. I just really like them. I
chilling out, enjoying life, and these guys are just ruining it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
This was actually a really sad film for Andy. It was heartbreaking.
Exactly.
He's watching a downfall.
Just like
just constantly watching Ben Affleck's character, like crying.
Don't go after the girl. You guys are living the dream. You're just working, going out to the bar. This is.
I hope Tiff doesn't listen to this episode.
I do think with the question, I think they're really, really good questions. Like especially that whole kind of what does living up to your potential mean, and I do think that yeah, Matt Damon and like Will is doing that, but also between Sean and Joey, where yeah, Sean's kind of decided to a sort of get married, and obviously yeah, Joey's deeply unhappy. I think we can all agree with that. But like yeah, just what does living a good life mean, or living up to your potential mean? Because I remember when I watched this as well, we had a teacher when I was at secondary school who I was kind of friends with. Can you say that? You're friends with the teacher? Now it seems weird. In the 90s,
you need a therapist, Andy. We shouldn't be talking about this now.
Afternoon delight. No, but like he was only at the school for like a year, and then he was leaving, and the entire class kind of said, oh, you know, why are you leaving? And he actually sort of kind of said, well, because this school is too nice. I don't really think that I can, like, you guys don't sort of need a teacher almost. And he actually then sort of moved and went somewhere to presumably a worse school, which I didn't really kind of think about at the time. But like he wanted to actually help kids that didn't need help. And it's I think obviously that's what Sean's decided to do, is be somewhere where it's not a bunch of kind of rich intelligent people like MIT. And I think that's the decision that he's made. And exactly, but Jerry like thinks that that's a failure because he's not living up to his potential. And I think that just all the time and even with Chucky, he's kind of like, this is my potential. Like this is, this is my potential, and I'm fine with that. Like tomorrow I'll be 50, and I'm fine with that. Like you're not living up to your potential, and that's like taking the piss out of us almost. And I just think that the film does really well just to bring up those questions.
That's an interesting concept. I was toying back and forth with that one because it's an interesting thing of like, he wants to just hang out with them and just be friends with them, and they're like, oh, but you're got so good, and you could potentially get loads of money, you should go and do it, and it's not fair on us. And it's an interesting one because he's like, well, is it fair on him that he now has to leave his friends behind and change his life? It's I get the premise of the speech, but I thought that I wasn't sure about that when I was back and forth on that.
You want your best for you want your friends to live their best lives, don't you?
Yeah,
you
but
for him, hold them back so you can go to the bar.
Life that was his best life, right? That's what he wanted, and ultimately he still turned down the job anyway, twice. So
you got the retainer though, retainer. And then the only other one, when my daughter was younger, she always used to say car. She'd be like, "Are we going in the car?" And I just we always wondered where that Boston accent came from. And maybe she watched this film accidentally. She crept downstairs one day when I was watching it because that Boston accent is it's an interesting one.
It's
car. I did also. I wondered whether all the people who turned up to the maths class to see who had done the equation, did they have to stay for the whole class? that would have been. I'm not sure that would have been worth it.
I could tell you that even the people that were supposed to be there would have left as well. It was never everyone in a maths class. Yeah,
I quite like that when they obviously he gives his, I think it's right start that he gives his lesson and he's like, and now I hand off to Matt, and then everyone gets up and it's like, oh, they don't care at all about the substitute.
Poor old Tom. He's again like just another character where he's just in the Tom's going to have all the answers. With Tom sitting there having a heart to heart with Will, and then Joey turns up and he's like, "Oh, can you get us 2 coffees?" and just like sends him out. And again, like they're so horrible to him, and he just sort of takes it. I think it's so funny. So talking of which character were you most like? Is it Tom for you, Kev? Is that why you have such an issue with Matt?
You are presuming that I paid that much attention that remembered everyone's name. So no, I put the barman. I think you have to be the barman. He was thoroughly entertaining. I enjoyed him.
That's funny.
What about you, Freddie?
I didn't really want to pick anyone because there wasn't exactly anyone that was not that I'm perfect, but they all had these traumas and stuff. And I was like, well, I can't really relate to any of those. Yeah. So I was like, maybe I'll just be like the bouncer that let them in, and they just go, right, Chase, I think his name was. I'll be him.
Yeah,
I'll just be just doing my stuff.
Getting your mates into the bar because you've got a job.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll be him.
What about you, Andy?
I mean, not that to be or to like, but Casey Affleck's character, I just think is so funny. Like all like just in the background, and like there's just so many times when he's talking to Will when Skylar comes over, and then he's like, "I swallowed a bug," and he goes off.
Yeah.
When he says about the burger, and he's like, "Well, why we just saw him 15 minutes ago? If we were going to fight him, why don't we fight him then? We've got snacks now." And he's like, he doesn't want to get out to fight, and then interrupting Ben Affleck's story, even though he's heard it. Like time he's like, "But what happened?" They're like, "You've heard the story before. What are you doing?" Yeah. He's just so annoying. And then at the very end, when he's like, "Oh, he's not there," and he just instantly gets out of the car to sit in the front seat, and then he doesn't care at all. He's just like, "Yes, I can go shotgun now. I can go in the car." I just think I just think his character just is. It just seems like they were like, okay, just be an annoying little brother in the background just throughout the film, and he just manages to when they give Will the car as well, and they're like, "Oh, you know, he helped because he got a job." He's like, "Well, I had a job," and he's lost a job in what seems like 2 days. And you don't know anything else about it. You're told that he had a job and he lost it.
It's come and gone. Yeah, nothing to worry about. What about lines then? Must have some. I'm sure you guys will both have some good lines. Freddie?
I quite like the little lines that came out. So like, obviously, after they just had that fight in the bar, I did quite like when he goes up to the window of the ice cream shop or whatever it was, and he's like, "Do you like apples?" I thought that was quite funny. I liked when, again, just another thing in the therapy room when they're talking about weights. And Will goes, "Oh, what'd you bench?" And Sean goes 285, and he just goes quiet.
Yeah,
like that's just another thing that it's like, "Oh yeah, you do more than me, so we're not going to talk about that anymore."
yeah. Nothing else to compete with you on because
exactly
that went wrong.
I also liked the baseball scene right at the end when it's like, it was a good game, and he's like, "Well, I didn't know Pudge was going to hit a home run."
I
was like, that's. And then the other one I wrote down was about when they got in the car. They go, "You're 21 now, legally allowed to drink, so we got you a car." I thought that was quite funny.
It's so funny that up until that point, obviously, you shouldn't have been drinking. You're like, "Oh,
I guess you didn't even think about that. But I guess probably what would have happened.
You're allowed to drink, so we thought the best thing to get you was a car. Yeah, I love it when he's explaining to Skylar about like, "Oh, you know, I can't play the piano," and then he says, "I probably can't hit the ball out of Fenway." And it's kind of like, even in like, that's just such a guy thing to say, is like, you know, I probably couldn't play in the Premier League. It's just no, you definitely can't. But even when anything to do with sports, you're like, I probably with my knee, maybe only 10 goals, which I just think was really, really good.
Which you brought up when I last spoke to you about softball, and you were like, "Yeah, surely everyone could just smash the ball out."
I mean, if someone's on your own team throwing you the ball, surely you can hit it out of Fenway, but maybe not. I love that little scene as well when he's in the batting cage throwing the ball. Like, how dangerous is that? That they're not using the mechanical thrower; he's throwing it at him. In where everyone else seems to be hitting the baseball. That's very strange. I think it's funny when he does start talking about like dating and stuff, and he says, "Oh yeah, don't worry about me, I know what I'm doing," when he hasn't called her, and he's just like, "You're such an amateur." He's like, no, I know what I'm doing, and it's clear that he just doesn't know at all. And I think also within that, when Will says, "Well, you know, she's perfect right now, I don't want to ruin that," and the response from Sean is, "Well, maybe you're perfect right now and you don't want to ruin that." And I think that's just a really great way to like turn that on the head, that like, you know, putting it off to someone, you know, either, you know, I don't want to burst my bubble of what they're like, and he's just like, no, you don't want to burst your bubble of what you're like and what you're capable of. And I think that's that's a great line. And then I love when he goes to the bar and he says, "Do you want a beer?" He says, "No, I'll just have a Perrier." And he says, "Oh, that's French for club soda." I think that's so funny, like taking him to that bar in comparison to obviously when they first meet, and he's taking him to a fancy restaurant, and then he's like, we'll just go to the bar and like get some sandwiches and then meet you, obviously working behind the bar.
I think that feels like almost like Robbie Williams had ad-libbed that line as well,
Yeah.
because it just sort of comes out, and I'm like, I wonder if he did, because it just feels like something funny that he just sort of said. You know, he's just was always so quick. Yeah. There was good lines in it, I must admit.
So on to reviews.
Yeah.
Hold yourself, plug yourself in, hold yourself down. For the first time, no 3-star reviews.
Wow. This is great. That's because everyone's just can't be bothered to watch all of it.
I think there was 150 reviews. 86% were 5-star. There were like 2 people who had given it 3-star, but just didn't leave a review. This is the first time. First time since we've been doing it. There's
I guess
no one's on the fence
there. Then we have to just leave it. I think, and that's it. We move on.
Thanks for coming in. Oh, you don't mean the whole podcast. Okay.
Yeah. On that bombshell. Goodbye. We will not be doing any more episodes.
What did you have? What did you have for the algo?
I put Beautiful Mind, and I haven't seen this, but I presume it's similar to Dead Poet Society as well. They're my 2. Obviously, Beautiful Mind, more mathematics on the board. So that was my thought process there. That's what I went with.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything?
I put, it would definitely put Dead Poet Society, and then I'm not that I fully believe it, but I feel like they'll put, or at least I'm going to put Fear of Everything, which is obviously the Stephen Hawking, because it's a smart guy and it's about their life. So I feel like I'll chuck that in there.
Good thinking.
Wow, interesting. Beautiful Mind was the first one that the algo came up with. Maybe you're getting more like the algo. That's
the algo's listening to me. I'm the one educating the algo now. You should all be worried.
God save us all. Yeah. And then also Social Network, which I was a bit like
the Facebook film.
Yeah,
I guess it's they're about the same ages. Like it's set in a sort of a uni, so that's what I could see the similarity. But in terms of the storyline, it's completely different.
Yeah, and also Will is like a mathematical genius, and Zuckerberg,
and we all hate Facebook, so specifically Mark Zuckerberg. So you know,
and then the third one was Garden State. Have you ever seen that? Zach
Kevin Spacey?
No. Zach Braff and Natalie Portman, and it's sort of like a coming of age thing. Where, funnily enough, his dad is his psychiatrist, and
So is that
is one? Well, that is one that it's a film that I really like, and if that was on the list, you would definitely not like that film.
I am shocked to hear that you like that film.
So I don't. Social Network for me was the one that I decided that meant that I'm not giving it. It's almost an instant.
You decided that before we've even said anything. It was an automatic disqualification.
Well, it's interesting that Beautiful Mind, but again, like it's not. I don't think it's similar to Beautiful Mind because obviously
it's
Beautiful
the maths,
Mind,
though. I guess.
Yeah, but like there's lots of maths maybe. But the point isn't the maths. It's not like if you want to learn maths, watch this film. Obviously, it's about psychological development of the characters. It's just you and the algo that were obsessed with the maths.
Neither of you guys got any maths from this. Well, you better go and watch it again.
I had my notepad and pen. I was answering them all. I was like, oh yeah, we'll try it. I get that. So you're gonna carry the two. Yep, that makes sense. I'm not sure even Will did his maths right, because I don't think he can make that drive at the end in that car to California. I don't think
that's a long drive.
Yeah, and I don't think he has any money for any petrol or gas, as they call it.
The final miscalculation.
He died somewhere in Ohio as he was going through. Yeah, well, they said that the car was sound. So yeah.
All right, so Andy, it's 48 on the list. Where's it going?
Yeah, so definitely, for me, still definitely a top 50. I think it's really well written. I think it's really well performed, and I do think it's a good film. I was sort of thinking about moving it up, but you know what? I think I'm going to leave it at 48. I think that's nice. I think that's where it should be. So I'm going to leave it where it is. It's like just into the top 50s. It's not a nostalgia, even though there is a lot of nostalgia, but I do just think it's a really well written and well made film.
Yeah.
How about you, Kev? How far down the list is it? Is it challenging the visitor? Or?
I toyed with a couple of positions for it. 44, which was just the low section of the okay section, and then 48, which is just in the top of the bad section. So, I think I've landed on 44. I think the last 40 minutes is very good. I like the last 40 minutes. The first, what was it, hour and 20, less enjoyable. So I've left it as 44 for now, which is just below Yojimbo and just above In Bruges in the OK section.
So it meets, just about gets into the OK section. It's a surprise. So so we introduced the new one. What would be the double feature for this film if you were to watch two films together? I don't know whether we'd mention this to you, Fred. So
no,
we'll do ours. Yeah, we'll do ours first, and you can have a think about what you would watch as a double feature.
I had a couple for this. Originally, I was thinking, I was thinking Mrs. Doubtfire, because you'd see like the range of Robin Williams, but I think Swingers might be good after this.
Okay, the group of guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a different sort of take on it. They're actors and stuff, and
you'd have like the West Coast versus East Coast dynamic.
Yes, yeah. So what about you?
Well, yeah. So I thought about. Funnily enough, I thought about Attack the Block as far as like having like a central character who's not fulfilling his potential. But I thought Good Morning Vietnam would be a good comparison, and obviously it could be in the same universe. That could be what happened when he went to Vietnam,
when he went traveling,
and then he came out. Well, no, but he said that he was at Vietnam, which, funnily enough, interestingly enough, someone on a podcast, they asked the question: had he been to Vietnam before or after he went to college with Jerry? And I thought that was an interesting question, because they graduated in 1972.
Yeah.
So did he go to college and then go to Vietnam? And that's like, or sort of their dynamic is that Jerry thought that he threw away his education because he went to Vietnam, or had he been in Vietnam and then went to college, in which case like that was why when he met Jerry he was just so much more of a...
You know what you need, Andy? You need a great little blackboard and some chalk. You go away
or a mirror. A mirror works.
You go and sort that out, and you come back to us, and I'll pretend that I'm really interested.
Well, if you can bring yours down to the shop, because I presume that you have one that you use every night like this, and this is why you don't want to watch in a film.
There's like, it's like a secret cult. We have them stored everywhere. I can just go and get one from just around the corner.
Do you have chalk in your pocket? Right, that's the
always
question.
Chalk. Yeah.
So Fred, for you, anything
you think?
I don't know why, but to my mind actually just came because you said Attack on the Block. I was like, maybe like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because you got the romance, you got the whatever Tobey Maguire's brother's called, who's like your Casey Affleck basically. He makes just funny remarks throughout the film. So I'll put that in there.
Yeah, nice,
great,
nice. Film. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, again, personal journey with a bit of with a bit of romance.
Yeah. Oh.
No,
have we got more romance next week? What's happening?
Well, next week is that there is romance. There's also 70 other stories all going on at the same time in what must be, in my opinion, one of the most chaotic films of all time, which there are reasons for. And the quote for it is, "I do not regret the things I've done or those I did not do," as someone rides off on a motorcycle. And I look forward to it, because this film is just, if Good Will Hunting is a film that's really well written and structured and has a lot to say, next week is the polar opposite of that, which is just chaos and bad writing and has nothing seemingly to say. So we'll look forward to that.
More like
and he's put it above Goodwill, and you put it above. So
exactly.
All that.
Yeah, we'll have to see where it stays. But thanks Freddie, for coming down to the shop, watching a new film. Thanks Kev for putting up with another maths another maths one. I did wonder if you were going to say Gifted as the double feature, just to like really get your full maths on. But I think we can all agree that would be a long time. Thanks to Tom Miller for the theme song as ever, and we'll see you next week.